Hello and welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today because we are setting the stage for you to build your very first video game. If you've ever played an incredible game and got to yourself, man, I want to make something like this, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're taking a close look at the engine that has powered some of the absolute most popular experiences in the world. And by the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly how to start using it yourself. But real quick, before we get into the weeds, let me ask you a question. What is actually stopping you from building your dream game right now? Is it the fear that coding is just way too complex? Is it the worry that professional game development software is going to cost you an absolute fortune? Or maybe it's just that overwhelming feeling of literally not knowing where to begin. Look, these are incredibly common hurdles, but the software we're exploring today was actually built specifically to tear those exact hurdles down. And that brings us to the core philosophy behind Unity. Former CEO John Riccitiello actually put it perfectly when he said, "The world's a better place when people know how to create, not just consume." And that's what we're trying to promote. You see, the foundational goal of Unity has always been to democratize game development. They want to empower people exactly like you, to transition from simply consuming technology to becoming active, hands-on creators. So here is our roadmap for today. First, what exactly is Unity? Second, we'll look inside the developer toolkit. Third, deploying your game. Fourth, choosing your plan. And fifth, getting you ready to start building. All right, section 1, what exactly is Unity? Let's get an overview of the engine. At its core, Unity is a cross-platform game engine, and it has had a pretty remarkable evolution. It was actually first announced way back in 2005 at the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference as a Mac OS X exclusive. Fast forward a bit to 2015, and Unity 5 dropped, adding massive visual upgrades and WebGL, which meant games could suddenly be played right in a browser without any clunky plugins. Then in 2018, they introduced the Unity Hub, which completely centralized all your installations and projects. And now we're in the Unity 6 era in 2024. So it's gone from a Mac-only tool to an absolute development powerhouse. But what's truly mind-blowing about this engine is the sheer scale. 1.5 billion. As of 2020, software built with Unity's game engine was running on more than 1.5 billion devices worldwide. To put that crazy number into perspective for you, apps made with Unity account for roughly 50% of all mobile games and are downloaded more than 3 billion times per month. And get this, around 15,000 brand new projects are started daily with this software. And it's not just pure volume either, it is cultural impact. We're talking about massive global phenomena built on Unity like Pokemon Go and Call of Duty Mobile. We're talking about beautifully crafted indie darlings like Monument Valley, Cuphead, and Among Us. Even huge VR blockbusters like Beat Saber. So the crucial takeaway here is this. The exact same engine you can download today for free is the one that built these household names. You are stepping into a remarkably proven ecosystem. Moving right along to section 2, inside the developer toolkit. Let's look at the actual tools of the trade. Okay, to make your game actually do things, you obviously need to write some scripts. Now, while the engine used to support languages like Boo and Unity Script, today the primary scripting API relies on C# using the Mono framework. Now, I know, if you're a complete beginner, seeing a term like C# might sound a bit intimidating, but please do not look at it as a hurdle. Think of C# as your specific brush for a digital canvas. It's simply the language you'll use to tell your character how to jump or to tell a door how to open. Next up, how is your game actually gonna look? Well, you'll have to choose between a couple of distinct graphics pipelines. First is HDRP, which stands for High Definition Render Pipeline. Next is URP, the Universal Render Pipeline. This is a vital choice for a new developer because, frankly, these pipelines are largely incompatible with each other. If you're building a cutting-edge, photorealistic game for a high-end PC or a major console, you might lean towards HDRP. But if you want a beautiful game that runs smoothly on almost everything, especially mobile devices, URP is basically your best friend. Now, you might be thinking, what if I don't know how to 3D model or I can barely draw a stick figure? Well, that is exactly where the Unity Asset Store comes in. Launched in 2010, this is a massive marketplace where you can find 3D models, 2D sprites, full environments, audio clips, and custom tools. By 2018, there had already been approximately 40 million downloads through the store. For a solo developer or a small indie team, the Asset Store is an absolute lifesaver. You don't have to reinvent the wheel and build every single tree, rock, or sound effect from scratch. You can just grab ready-made pieces and get straight to the fun part, designing your game's mechanics. That brings us to section 3, deploying your first game and unlocking that cross-platform power. Here's one of the most brilliant things about Unity. 19+. That is the number of different platforms it currently supports. You essentially write your game once, and the engine handles all the heavy lifting of translating it for different hardware. And those platforms cover an incredibly wide spectrum. We're talking Windows, macOS, and Linux for desktop, iOS and Android for mobile, all the major consoles like PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. But beyond all that, Unity absolutely dominates the virtual reality and augmented reality business. They support cutting-edge tech from the Microsoft HoloLens to the Apple Vision Pro. In fact, the source material notes that Unity is responsible for roughly 60% of all AR and VR content. So literally, wherever your audience plays, your game can reach them.
All right, moving into section 4, choosing your pricing plan. Let's cover the business basics.
Let's break down the money side of things across the 3 main tiers. If you're a beginner, a hobbyist, or just a small indie team, you are going to want Unity Personal. It's completely free, and you can use it as long as your funding or revenue is under $200,000 in the prior 12 months. Now, if your game becomes a massive hit and crosses that $200K threshold, you are required to upgrade to Unity Pro, which runs $2,310 a year per seat. And for the giant studios pulling in over $25 million, there's Unity Enterprise with custom pricing. So for anyone just starting out today, the barrier to entry is absolutely $0. Now, to give you the full, complete picture of this source material, it is important to understand the engine's recent licensing history. Back in September 2023, Unity announced a new runtime fee that would actually charge developers based on the number of times their games were installed. As the sources document, this triggered immediate and massive backlash from the developer community, with studios like the creators of Among Us, for example, openly discussing swapping engines altogether. Ultimately, Unity backtracked. They completely killed the runtime fee for personal users and returned to the revenue-based thresholds we just talked about. So long story short, it is a very stable, free environment for you to begin your journey right now. And finally, Section 5. Ready to start building? Time to take some action. If you are feeling fired up and inspired, here is exactly what you need to do next. Step 1. Go online and download the Unity Hub. This is basically your central dashboard for everything. Step 2. Create your account and choose the Unity Personal license, which, as we saw, is completely free. Step 3, click New Project, pick a template like 2D or 3D, and boom, you are literally in the engine. You could pause this explainer right now, follow those 3 steps, and be staring at your own blank game canvas in minutes. You have a staggeringly powerful toolkit right at your fingertips, the exact same toolkit responsible for 1.5 billion device installs worldwide. The barriers are completely gone. The only question left is, what world will you create first? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, happy building.